Hello everyone, CPAT here with another Exceed match, and we've reached the playoffs. We've reached the playoffs of this tournament that I've been casting for the past 3 weeks, 4 weeks. This is going to be the semifinal, or one of the semifinals match between migohunter and Calavontis. Calavontis, of course, the 1 seed, having not dropped maybe a single game. I don't know if he went 10-0, but he went 5-0 in pools. Did very well for himself, and migohunter, sneaking in as the 4 seed, went 4-1. Lost his first match to God of Whim, and then won 4 straight to make it here. Yeah, this is going to be a very interesting match because both these players, I actually see them practicing a lot against each other. So they kind of have some, they know each other quite well in terms of what different styles they play. So it's going to be interesting to see if that will play into, maybe some plays that are made that look confusing to us as the neutral viewer, but are interesting but are like expected for them, as they've played so many. I've seen them play a lot of games against each other recently. So starting off here, looks like we have Jin versus Umina. I expected either Umina or Bang from Calavontis. It looks like he's forsaken the Kokonoe, at least for now. Probably saw that video and said, you know what, yeah, that CPAT guy knows what he's talking about when it comes to Kokonoe. I'm not gonna touch her at all. But Umina and Bang are two very good characters, I think. So yeah. Looks like we have Jin with the turn 1 prep against Umina, who boosts light here. It has been a while since I've casted an Exceed game, actually. I think the last one I casted was last week. Just because now that we are in playoffs, there are only 3 more matches left in the tournament. Obviously, upper lower semis, and then grand finals. I believe the tournament bracket is single limb, which is it's a little tough, man. You could lose a best of 3 to variants, and you won't get a second shot, which is a little bit rough. Looks like a reading coming out from Calavontis. It's going to be reading Sweep, and it's going to be the Dark Thoughts. So Sweep will obviously miss. That Dark Thoughts will transform. That is a huge combat win. Pulls the focus as well. Wow, that's a huge combat win early for Calavontis. Subscribing to the... We've seen... I don't know if we saw Calavontis do this last week against Mix, but we're seeing... I don't remember if Calavontis did it against Mix or Mix did it against someone else, but we've been seeing these top players go for the early big readings. This Dark Thoughts was a 4-speeder anyway, so it would have been kind of tough to beat. Even like loses to Ice Car, right? Because it's a 2-5, but Ice Car has the unfortunate property of pushing 1. So Dark Thoughts actually hits the EX dive in response to the regular dive. Things have gone so horribly wrong so far for Miga. Already down to 19 HP. Umina's turn again since that EX dive was on defense, so she can prep up back to 4 cards. And that's brutal. We got just to keep things, just to summarize what happened here. We have Jin having lost 11 life, both players at even number of cards. Calavontis has stolen a focus from Migo and put it into the Dreamlands, and also has transformed the Dark Thoughts. Migo opting to push with Scorn. Jin likes a little bit of that range too, and of course the range 1 is super scary when you have a card in your kit like... Migo puts his cards over here like I do. Where is it at? Hollow Space. Attacks on range 1 do not hit you. Range 2 is super preferable to range 1 for Jin, so I'm not surprised to see a boost like Scorn come out. A little bit of action compression as well. And looks like it's going to be the Violent Ice, unfortunately, into the focus. So not the best trade there for Jin. Jin will take 4 damage and only deal 2 back. So this is looking like a pretty rough early start for Migo here. Pretty aggressive strike there too as well. Now Umina still has a bunch of cards in hand, gets an extra 1 from the focus as well. Jin looking a little low. Of course Jin has the ability to get cards back, so that's not the biggest deal in the world. I'm looking more on the side of Umina, who has 5 cards in hand to engage and such a huge life lead. Umina discarding this unknown Kadath to move back to range 4. Range 4 a little bit awkward for Jin compared to Umina, who has the 2 fireballs. Jin does have some options at range 4. Of course, Jin has the Ice Blade, Jin has one copy of Dive left, and Jin has the other one, Ice Car. Ice Car is the thing that we discussed, loses to random things. One of those random things is Dark Thoughts, just to keep that in mind. Looks like Calavontis is placing Cross into the Dream Lens. Jin just prepares in response. Calavontis is boosting that +2 power. So now those fireballs become a little bit more threatening, although no EX Dive left, so in theory, Migo can strike into this, but then, like, obviously Calavontis will just play slow, so that's probably not the best idea. The option that Migo has that does not go into the slows is Ice Blade. Unfortunately, it's only speed 3, so that would lose out to the Hollow Space. You have a little bit of mix-up here if Migo wants to opt into it, although the dice are loaded with this +2 power. Looks like Migo not going for that. Opts for a parry instead. Parry looks like it's going to miss. I did not give them permissions. So we can see the hand of Calavontis here. So Calavontis has Terror Whispers 6, one copy of the Ultras each, and Dark Thoughts. So this Ultra is looking a little spicy right now. That's an option that we neglected. I thought it was a... Oh wait, no. That Ultra cost 3 gauge, surely, right? The Ultra only costs 2 gauge? That's a cheap Ultra. That is a huge threat that Migo has to deal with right now with that +2 power on the board. I thought this Ultra costed 3. It really only costs 2? That's crazy. That's crazy. How will Migo deal with this? So right now, without even accounting for Migo's hand, this is a 7 power Ultra, and then for every special in hand, this will gain 1 more power. On top of that, Migo just discarded a block to parry something, so maybe I guess he wasn't thinking about the Ultra like we weren't, which is really unfortunate. I would assume if Migo had a block in hand, it would come out now. So the fact that he's not blocking is telling me that Calavontis is going to win this combat quite big. It's going to be a big combat win. EX Ice Car, notably, would stop this. EX Ice Car being 6 speed. Jin just opts for the normal Ice Car, and no, that's not going to work. So yeah, hands are revealed again. Calavontis, we already know, has 2 copies of... Okay, and Migo's hand. Migo actually doesn't have a ton. Migo has a ton of normals in his hand, so not terrible. He has 0, 1, 6, 7, Ice Blade, Violent Ice. So that's going to be +2 coming out from Migo's side. That's going to be +3 coming out from Una's side, I believe. Yep. Okay, so it's 2, +2, +3, +2. That's a 9 damage Ultra right there. Jin's going to be down to 6. That is tough. That's a tough break. I guess Migo maybe forgot about that option as we did. Yeah, Jin down to 6 HP against Uma's 28. Notably, Calavontis even has the stun immune Cross in hand because Cross is current. The second copy of Cross is in Dream Lens. Oh, Migo had the block in hand and he didn't opt for it? I guess he just wanted to like make a... Oh, this looks like a scoop. Yeah, Migo just conceding. So Migo had the block in hand. I wonder if that means he did not read the Call of the Dreamlands. Maybe you read something else in the hand. The rest of the hand, which was known to Migo, was 1 copy of each Ultra Cross. Oh, he read the... So he was just betting that it was the Dark Thought. But Dark Thought still loses to Ice Car pretty badly. Yeah, maybe... Yeah, I don't know about that one. Maybe he thought it was worth going for the bet. As Calavontis brings out the Bang, migohunter going for the Jin again. That was a very quick game 1. Yep, Migo bring the Jin back, going for the run back against Bang. So it was Season 5 matchup. Last time we saw Calavontis' Bang, it was incredibly scary. The Calavontis' Bang in that last game. If you haven't seen it yet, I highly suggest you go back and watch it. That was probably one of the most clinical performances I've ever seen. Like just pure mastery of the character. It was beautiful to watch. As someone who like hasn't really seen too many people actually like fully master characters in such a way, it was absolutely beautiful to watch. I would give that a view, especially that game 1. It was against Mix's Zolt, and it just felt like it looked like pure mastery of the character. But yeah, Calavontis won a couple strikes early. Won the Dark Thoughts with the reading, and then had EX dive in hand. And suddenly Migo found himself on the back foot and was unable to respond properly to the threat of a fierce boosted Ultra. And that's pretty rough, man. That's rough. Bang versus Jin here. We saw Jin was so we know Jin's like an aggressive character. We saw Bang last time, and it's not necessarily so aggressive, but it was rapid. It was a rapid win. So just because Bang had drawn both copies of Bang Style Shuriken early, which is a card that's it's just so good, man. Look at this. Look at this beautiful card. 1/4, 1/6, 6 speed, 4 ranger. And look at the amount of utility you can get on that. It's just so good. Let's see if Migo can successfully defuse this. Again, this is gonna be game 2 of this set. This is only best of 3. I was a little bit shocked to see the finals and semifinals only be best of 3. I would have preferred them to be best of 5, personally. But as it stands, nope, just the best of 3. Jin opts to prepare turn 1. Okay, interesting. Migo actually prepared last time as well. I don't know if this is like a specific thing that he does on Jin. So actually, in order to not like mind poison myself so much, I've been kind of keeping my meta chats with Migo quite low. So I actually don't really know his game plan too much going into this match. Bang in response boost Spike. Interesting. Spike's an interesting one because it allows, so like the super dominant option is obviously Bang Style Shuriken, right? But gives you a little bit more trading potential for things that aren't Bang Style Shuriken. So in this case, it would be like polarizing Blast Jutsu, I guess. Looks like the early reading coming out from Jin's side hits it. It's the Ice Car, which will do 2 damage after armor. Dive will not be stunned, so dive will dive over. Will miss because obviously we're at range 2 now. Bang opts for the Bang Style prep and drops a Fatal Eruption. So when you see Bang drop a Fatal Eruption, what does that tell you? I guess Calavontis doesn't really value this card too highly anyway, so there's not a lot of information you can glean about it. If I had to guess, it's probably that he picked up some kind of special. But I don't even think you can glean too much information from that, especially if you're in a tournament like this. Yeah, I don't see that happening. The uppercut beats the cross. A little bit of a good read there from Migo. Only 4 damage, so not the end of the world, but hey, couple early combat wins. Parry coming out from Bang. Parries the Ice Fang. Ice Fang pretty punishing against Calavontis' Bang. He likes to do the Bang prep a lot early. We can read the boost on Ice Fang here. Both players draw or discard until they have 4 cards in hand. So this boost is actually pretty punishing against Calavontis' Bang because he likes to Bang prep a lot early, say a relatively high hand. Looks like the strike coming out from Bang here. In response, this looks pretty good, especially because we saw 1 uppercut down for Jin. So it's pretty unlikely that Jin will have the second uppercut to get out of there. Bang does have a little bit of a mix-up here. He has an Ignore Guard. He has Unstoppable Palm Thrust, which is like a little bit of a mid-speed here. Only at speed 5, but he's guarded. So I guess kind of a slow. We have like an actual slow here. Bang Style Shuriken, obviously a threat. Something like Cross is also a threat in theory. Although I don't think Calavontis would initiate with Cross, go to range 5, or something like Ice Blade would hit him back. Oh, no, Ice Blade performs quite poorly against Pulverizing Blast Jutsu, so maybe that is a viable option. We did see Calavontis drop 1 Cross. Looks like Migo actually... Okay, so Migo sees Unstoppable Palm Thrust and says, my response to that is Ice Blade. Ice Blade will not get stunned out, notably. 2 to 5 will hit back. So we can look at Bangs here. So Bang will push 2, gain advantage. Migo will not be stunned, so no closing. And then Ice Blade will hit back for 4, and Migo can close up to 2 and draw 1. So he can choose the proper range that he wants to sit at. Looks like he wants to sit at range 2. Again, we touched on this briefly maybe, but Jin likes range 2 quite a bit. So unsurprising to see Jin move up to that range 2, especially when a card like Bang Style Shuriken's a threat at range 3 or range 4 above curve. Bang, opting to prep in response, drops the spike. bank rep, excuse me. We'll take a look at that real quick, so we actually haven't taken a look at that. So as an action, you can take a look at the top two cards of your deck, draw one, discard the other. So you get a little, actually, not a little bit. I think this is actually super underestimated. You get a lot of deck cycling out of this. Calavontis loves using this action early, as we saw last week. And it's great. It's really, I think this is super underrated, just from a mathematical standpoint. Being able to just filter out your deck, get rid of the options that you don't need. It's great. It's great. I think it's really underrated by a lot of people in general, or maybe it's properly rated by a lot of people in general, and I don't know that. Huh? Food for thought there. Back to Jin here, and yeah, we can see why this. Look, Calavontis is a full hand. We can see why he parried that Power of Order. Or he parried the S-Fang technically, but he parried it for the Power of Order, obviously. Jin at range 2, 3 gauge, so now we have to look at ultra threats here. We have to look at Moonsong. Especially when we go to range 3 when it's an above Karashi. It's a 2 to 3, 6, 6. A lot of characters have this. Looks like Bang opting for second parry, and parries the Moonsong that we were just talking about. Very nice. Great timing from Calavontis there. But yeah, we have to look at this card. With Jin at 3 gauge. This card's pretty good. It gives you the hit gain advantage above curve at range 3. We like to highlight these range 3 6 speeders quite a bit, and this is a good one. This is a good one. A little bit expensive in terms of power per gauge, but very worth it. Get advantage afterward, and Jin loves his advantage. He has so many different ways to get advantage. We can take a look. Dual Ice, and I believe one of the boosts. Pinpoint. Looks like we have a parry coming back from the Jin side. I wonder what he's going to parry. Probably, oh, interesting. He opts to parry the focus. Huh. Scared of that reading threat that got him in game 1. Okay, I can see that happening. Bang immediately boosts that +2 speed. A little bit of a plan here. Of course, we have an ignore guard option for Jin at range 2. Or for Bang at range 2, excuse me. Jin opts to tech it, says, I'm not dealing with that +2 speed. I agree with that completely. Bang is super scary with that +2 speed. Introducing an option like this is no good. Especially because that gets in that gauge super easy as well. Although that is already quite easy to go into the gauge because you can boost it after the Bank Cell Shuriken, but yeah, the parry is good there. It's a good parry for sure. Okay, so just a little bit of this game's going a lot slower than game 1. Just a little bit of a song and dance as far as resources are concerned. Just like, okay, boosting Assault to move back to range 4 where that Bank Style Shuriken's a big threat. Looks like Migo's probably going to have to respond by moving in, if I had to guess. I wonder if Migo has a game plan to try to like avoid getting hit by Bank Style Shuriken. EX Bank Style Shuriken is above curve at range 2 still, so that's still kind of a threat, but I expect Migo to move in with some kind of action, either a cross boost or just like dropping an Ultra from hand maybe, although both copies of Ultra have been parried by Bang, so Jin might not even have Ultras in hand. 6 cards in hand, 16 cards in deck, not the highest likelihood that an Ultra is in hand. But actually, I don't even think he would use an Ultra to move in, because you want to save those as threats. Another thing we like to highlight early is when 2 copies of a card are down early. So something like EX Dive last time was down for Umino. The Dive's not the most important card. We like to highlight that just because that's a threat that you're not going to be dealing with for a long time. Oh, it looks like Migo opts to spend the Ultra. So I guess that was the decision, whether he wants to opt to spend the Ultra. Now Bang no longer has to worry about Power of Order. Interestingly enough, I guess Migo just never had... Okay, we have a little bit of an issue here. 3, 8, 23... Migo appears to be missing a card in his deck. Okay, so yeah, it was the focus that Cal... Luckily, we all spotted that right away. But yeah, Calavontis solely focused in game 1. With Umna, Jin will just shuffle it in. A little bit of a hiccup here. A little bit of a pause. Maybe a little bit of a time to think. But yeah, just in case we missed that, Jin only had 29 cards in hand in deck. The 30th card was actually this Moon Song, this Arching Dungeon, which was missing. But yeah, game state is like resolved, I guess. Interesting double jump boosted by Calavontis. So let's actually read this boost. I've never seen this boost before. Advance 3. If you advance past the opponent this way, advance to retreat 1 and then draw 1. Ooh, spicy. And then Calavontis opts to move to range 1 with this boost as well. So it's like he obviously dropping Pulverizing Blast Jutsu. It's a good combat card. It's a good option to have, and Calavontis still has one option in his deck, but it's a little bit of action compression, right? So you get to move 1 and then you get to prep as well. So I guess you move 1 and then you change cards 1, not prep, but I mean you get what I'm saying, right? Just gives Bang the option to both draw and move at the same time. Okay, looks like Migo boosting that set. Actually, that's the first copy of Scorn. No, it's the second copy of Scorn. Ice Blade, and the gauge already was responded to. So Migo opting for the push 1, draw 1, and he can obviously take another action with Scorn. Very good boost here. Jin has a lot of like utility, right? He's a lot of different utilities in this kit. Not like the best character, but like has a lot of different ways to like manipulate ranges, draw cards, things like that. Migo, okay, so Migo pushes and then strikes. Strikes at range 2. You can look at the options here that Migo has in range 2 is an uppercut range 2, speed 7. I don't think it's Ice Car. Permafrost does not work. EX Banks out Shuriken in response. Okay, it's the sweep coming out from Migo. So this is going to be a 2 damage EX Banks out Shuriken. Obviously, wanting to beat like Cross in response. Speed 6. EX Banks out Shuriken, speed 7. Would lose to the second uppercut. But that's just a risk that Calavontis would have to take. Pays for it with Void Tempest Kick, and then boost the second copy of Void Tempest Kick. Okay. So Migo will take 3 damage. Calavontis will take 5. Drop a card. Drops the Beat a Nail with the Hammer. That's a pretty good boost. Calavontis immediately boosting Light in response. Let's take a look at this gauge here. We got 3 of the 4. So when Bang exceeds, of course, he can strike, and he can strike with this if he has 4 differently named specials in the overdrive. He goes a lot of gauge here. I wonder how he's going to use it. We know that Bang's going to use his gauge to exceed. Like, that's pretty much guaranteed, I think. Just the exceeding is so good here. I believe Bang Style Shuriken, 1 copy of the discard, Void Tempest Kick, 1 copy of the discard, Unstoppable Palm Thrust on the discard, but that's like huge value, regardless of whether he actually gets the Hyper Shadow Step Strike online. Exceeding for Bang is huge value, and I think Bang should do it basically every single game. I don't think that's a hot take or anything that Bang should attempt to exceed every single game. I wonder what Migo does with this gauge though. He's 4 gauge built up. I don't know if there's an exceed in the cards for Migo to like try to limit Bang's options in hand. It's probably just keep that threat of Moonsong alive, especially with EX Bang Style Shuriken expended. Well, the EX Bang Style Shuriken will be back soon as Calavontis builds up his 4th gauge. So I'm wondering how Migo would use this gauge. I'm surprised he didn't try to spend to draw extra cards, right? We can look at Jin's innate ability here. So when you set your attacking me, spend 1 gauge to gain after draw 2. No, opts for the reload with the Permafrost boost instead. We can take a look at this. This is a +4 guard, but more importantly, it's a now draw 2. So this is like a super prepare boost. So change cards 1 if you think about it, but also gives you 4 guard for the next combat. Calavontis opts for the normal prep, seeing his cards are kind of low. Calavontis wants to exceed before he reshuffles. That's why he opts for the normal prep. Bang prep makes you go through 3 cards, whereas normal prep only makes you go through 2 cards. And with Bang only having 7 cards in deck, this makes sense. You definitely want to normal prep late, especially when you want to threaten your Exceed. And Calavontis is not there yet. He needs that 4th gauge somehow, although the +2 speed will help him out in some way. I would expect to see a tech from Migo if he had it, so I don't think he has the tech. So I don't really know what other play there would be besides tech. Because I'm pretty sure Calavontis is thinking of going for something like an 8-speed cross or something. Oh, interesting. Opts for a flying strike. This like means that Bang can no longer assault. Oh, okay, and the flying strike gets ticked immediately. So clearly there was a... Clearly there's a plan from Calavontis to like build his 4th gauge with assault, and then... Actually, what's the one he doesn't have in... Let's take a look, because maybe he does want to build the four specials, so that way he can get back into the game. I mean, he's a little bit low on health. So maybe something like a Hyper Shadow Stripe is something that Calavontis is looking for. It's a little bit greedy. Something like a... What card is he missing? He's missing the Pulverizing Blast Jutsu, which doesn't benefit a whole lot from +2 speed, huh? So my assumption is that he's... well, I guess this also counters the Pulverizing Blast Jutsu as well, in theory. It, like, allows Pulverizing Blast Jutsu to beat, like, Cross? Mio draws the tech. Tech's the +2 speed here. Yeah, I'm a little bit lost as to what exactly the game plan is for that, but I guess it's a moot point now that the +2 speed is gone, as is the other boost. We're back to basically neutral here. Calavontis is looking to strike, maybe. Only 11 cards, 5 in hand, 6 in deck, so we are starting to get to the point where we can say with a relatively high percentage chance that a copy of a card is in hand. We're starting to get to that point. Set Nail coming in for Bang before you may advance or retreat to. Just a really solid boost. It does cost 1 force, but just so it just opens up so many different options, you know. So like advancing 2 means that things that wouldn't be, it's like Grasp, for example, it's above curve now, right? Because it's you advance 2 first. You can like retreat 2 and do stuff like Bang Style Shuriken, although we know that's not available. Just a really, really solid boost, I think, and it's also optional. So your opponent really has to think of a lot of different. There's a lot of different plays you can make with this boost, and the onus is on the opponent to kind of think of what threats are up and what is actually being threatened here by Bang, because this does introduce an element of a mix-up that's actually quite difficult to perceive, in my opinion. Of course, we know Miko's a strong player, so he'll handle it no problem. But good boost, man. It's a good boost. Looks like Migo looking at that discard, trying to ascertain what cards are left. So 4 cards in hand, 5 cards in deck now. So Calavontis is actually doing a good job of like not over revealing his hand yet. It's like this feels like a good reading turn from Migo, but it's low percentage chance with a setup like 4-5. If it feels something like 6-3, it'd be much higher chance for Migo to actually read successfully. Second Flying Ice Strike comes boosted for Migo here. So let's read this again. The opponent cannot move, and at the end of your next turn, add this to gauge. So this boost is now useless. Ooh, for Love and Justice, +1 power, +1 speed, now strike. So not a lot of things that this could be in theory. Feels like, honestly, it feels like Unstoppable Palm Thrust to me. It's a 6 speeder with guard as well, so loses to the uppercut. So it's on curve, has the push effect and gaining advantage. So that's what it feels like to me. Obviously, it can't be assault because the opponent cannot move. I don't really know what else it could be. In theory, it could be Spike, right? If Migo's response to Unstoppable Palm Thrust is a slow. But there aren't slow. But Migo doesn't have a slow to hit with. Right, so Migo has dropped both copies of his Ice Blade, which is his only slow that actually counters Unstoppable Palm Thrust. Oh, you know what? Focus also counters it, because Focus means that Unstoppable Palm Thrust can actually thrust, right? Can't push him back. Sorry, I'm just checking to make sure I am recording. I don't know why I would check 30 minutes later whether I'm recording or not, but we are. We are recording, don't worry. I got my laptop's dying. My laptop did not like the fact that I checked. Are we back? Oh no, I like ruined everything by tabbing out. Sorry for the lag spike there, folks. But we are back. Yeah, I think I definitely lag spiked there. My computer did not enjoy me tabbing out. We are recording in 1080p, but this is like a 5-year-old laptop, so yeah. Again, just to reiterate, we have a +1 power, +1 speed on the bank side, and we are calling it as Unstoppable Palm Thrust. Which would also gain bang advantage, of course, so you can then exceed and get full value, right? Like Crystal Strike in response. Migo expecting a slow? It is the Unstoppable Palm Thrust. This is faster, obviously. We'll stun out the Ice Strike because Jin only has 4 guard. Calavontis now has the 4 gauge. He has to pretty much exceed this turn if he wants to get value. Because look at 5. Could he get away with prepping once before exceeding? It looks like he thinks he can. Okay, interesting. Interesting. Calavontis playing a little fire, a little bit maybe. I mean, surely he's done the math better than I have. But just a reminder, Bang, when he exceeds, he gets cards back from his discard. And the last thing you want to do is flip over your discard right when you're playing on exceeding, right? Migo probably looking at a reading, if I had to guess here. 3 in hand, 2 in deck, rather favorable. If at the very least, he should definitely calculate what those last. So he's done my trick here. So this is something I actually recommend to a lot of new players that have difficulty looking at what cards are left. I tap them. I don't know if someone told me I tap them. I don't know. Tapping apparently is the action of flipping it over to the right 90 degrees. Don't know what game that's from. I use that terminology even though I don't really know what it means 100%. Apparently this action is tapping, and then I flip them over when both of them are down. So it looks like Migo knows that we have 1 copy of Pulverizing Blast Jutsu, 1 Infinite Chaos Void, and 1 Hyper Shadow Step Strike, which is what I'm assuming the goal was. This one is the card missing from Gauge. 1 copy left somewhere. Although at range 4, we are looking at a situation where this can run in and bop you, right? 2 normals left. I wonder if they're worth reading. Migo says no. I'm gonna reshuffle here. Arctic Dungeon now comes to the hand. We can take a look at this. It's a 1/8. I've never seen this card hit before. 1/8, 8/0X. Is this a threat? Is this an unironic threat? Arctic Dungeon? Surely not. It has 4 guard. 4 guard's really low. I don't think it's a threat. It looks like Bang will exceed. We've got the illegal. We've got contraband Bang art. We're gonna have to censor that one again for the YouTubes. So we can look at a backside Bang here. Well, we'll have to take a peek under his leg. Oh, all right. We'll have to take a peek under his legs to see what Bang's backside does. Oh, Oh no. I am so sorry. So I just threw myself off. Okay, your EX, we're just gonna barrel through. Your EX attacks at +1 power, and that look at that overdrive though. Return all copies of a card. That polarizing blast jutsu will trade with the focus. Polarizing will do 3, focus will do 2 back. Looks like Migo actually also spent for an after draw 2, so we will draw 3. Has 4 gauge here. Notably, it is now Migo's turn, so he does have a turn before things get real serious in terms of EXs. Just taking a look here, we have EX Unsolvable Palm Thrust. Having an EX stuck in here is like a little bit unfortunate, but luckily it's Unstoppable Palm Thrust, which gains advantage, and then the second one you can just loop back. So not the biggest deal in the world. We have EX Spangstyle Shuriken coming back, and we have EX Void Tempest coming back. So pretty scary threats that Bang is representing. You go looking through that discard, trying to figure out what those last 2 normals are. At least this is not a comeback mechanic anymore. It'll just be used for the boost, which is still totally acceptable way to use this card. +1 power, +1 speed is such a good boost, man. With a now strike, it's so good. A little bit expensive though, given how Calavontis has only 2 cards in hand. It does have the gauge though, so not the biggest deal in the world. In fact, Chaos Fist of the Void, beat the nail with your hammer is a pretty good one, huh? +1 speed, now advance 2 and strike. That's a super good boost there. Even returns to hand. And 2 normals. We're not gonna take a look at the discards here, just because it's quite lazy. We'll leave it as an exercise to the reader. Oh no, it's Focus, Assault, Chaos, and Hyper Shadow. Nice. Okay, thank you, Migo. Migo doing his job and telling us exactly what's left. It's 1, 5, and 1 copy of these 2 Ultras. So there's a theoretical world where like Calavontis can chain Unstoppable Palm Thrust, Assault, and like win the game without any interaction. That's a win con I see there for Calavontis. Unsolvable Palm Thrust, we can take a look at this card one more time. Does have the advantage here, so yeah, Bank's just gonna advantage change into death. That's a way I can see a win come out, although there is an uppercut left. Uppercut does not perform well against Unsolvable Palm Thrust, which has 4 guard. It does perform well against Assault, but you don't really need the Assault to chain. How Jin's looking a little bit low on... Jin has 15 life though, actually. So Unstoppable Palm Thrust into EX Unstoppable Palm Thrust is 14, into Assault is 14 damage. So not quite enough. Looks like pinpoint strikes coming out from Jin. So Jin opted to use the uppercut in this manner. So we can take a look at this boost. Now strike, hit +1 power, but look at that advantage gain. Jin, advantage gain is good. You don't want to like Bang take a turn here. Although 12 life is a lot to go through, especially when you don't have a card like Dual Life Strike left. Dual Life Strike was double boosted, if you guys remember earlier. So yeah, Migo's gonna try to gain advantage here. With the that's what the boost is for. I don't think he's trying to break any specific breakpoints with this. Flips the focus and is the Arctic Dungeon. Wow, that's the first time I've seen an Arctic Dungeon come out. So focus will do 4 damage. Arctic Dungeon has 4 guard. And Arctic Dungeon will do 1 billion damage. And is this a scoop from Calavontis? So we are learning something new. The opponent must discard their hand on Arctic Dungeon. Wow, I've never seen this card. I've never seen this attack played before. Wow. The opponent must discard their hand. I thought it was a scoop because he just like threw his hand in disgust at the discard pile, or at least we'll look at it like that. Wow. Arctic Dungeon, huh? Had the perfect amount of guard to beat both Assault and the other one. What's the other card? Oh, and the preemptive forces the reshuffle. Migo, this is beautiful play. Forces the reshuffle, no value. Oh man, and the spike will beat the assault on the flip. Well done. Migo takes the game. Of course, it's preemptive +2 speed. The spike will beat the speed tie on the assault. Migo takes game 2. And we're going to game 3, folks. Just in case some of you guys thought this would be a 2-game set with Calavontis being such a dominant force throughout the set. No, migohunter beats the bang with the Jin. Beautifully done, finding that end game. We kind of saw that Arctic Dungeon coming. We didn't see it coming there though. But Migo finding that win condition, just really, really good stuff. Forcing that reshuffle. Just wow. Really, really good stuff there for Migo. Forcing the wild swing as well off the Arctic Dungeon. Looks like we're going to have Calavontis not going for the Kokonoe. We're going to see Noelle versus Bang now. Noelle, not a character I'm super familiar with, honestly. She's speedy. Low damage. Has a couple like mid-speedy options. Like she has Ignore Guard. In Muzzle Flitter, that could be useful. A lot of Bang's cards are guarded, so like a fast muzzle flitter might be something to look out for. Type 1, another like good card to look out for, especially at speed 6. We can take a look at Noelle's front side here, and we see that when you initiate a strike, you may spend 1 gauge to gain +1 speed. But yeah, we're going to game 3, folks. We are going all the way. I guess going all the way is not really. It doesn't sound as hype when it's only a 3-game set. Like, it would sound hyper if it was like a 7-game set or something. But we are going all the way, ladies and gentlemen. Do not leave yet. I don't know why you'd leave yet. This is not a live stream. I was planning on live streaming this, actually, but I forgot. I should have live streamed this. Huh. I wonder why I didn't. Anyway. We have the Bang versus the Noelle. Calavontis not bringing out the Kokonoe. He saw the video. He knows. Bang opting for the turn 1 prep makes sense. Bang prep. We know that's good early. We know Calavontis is trying to go through his deck, find the good stuff here. Grasp in response to the spike boost. So Grasp boost. Obviously at range 4, we are threatening this bad boy here. We're also kind of threatening this, and we are threatening dive as well. Sorry, we'll zoom in on this card a little bit longer. It's a 1/4. That's the main threat at range 4, right? You don't want to get hit by this bad boy. Polarizing Blast Jutsu in the mix-up, in theory. Slow but deadly. Slow but deadly. I misses from dive, or misses to dive. Noelle does have like an option here in a range in a speed 6 type 1. Oh no, she doesn't, because she doesn't have a gauge yet. Okay, Power of the Eye. Look at the opponent's hand and strike. We see EX Cross, EX Unstoppable Palm Thrust. Banks, this is a loaded hand here that we have here. We have a Fatal Eruption, we have EX Cross, we have EX Unstoppable Palm Thrust, we have Bank Style Shuriken, and we have Polarizing Blast Jutsu. That's a good hand. That's a good hand right there. Is that the perfect Bang hand? I mean, no hand's perfect when it's known, I guess, but that's a pretty good looking Bang hand if I've ever seen one. So we can just take a look at this boost again. Look at the opponent's hand now. Strikes him. He goes actually forced to strike into this. Looking down the barrel of that Bang Style Shuriken speed 6. Is he thinking about wild swinging and just losing to that Bang Style Shuriken? No, he's not. He's gonna look at that hand. Bang Style Shuriken comes out in defense, and it's the Optic Barrel. So Optic Barrel is a 2/3, 5/3, 4. So like something like Cross can be boosted for Bang to come to range 1, and avoid the Optic Barrel. And are we gonna see that come out from Migo or from Calavontis? Double jump can also be boosted. And of course, double jump will hop in past the range of optic barrel, which is the 2 to 3. I wonder. I guess he wants to keep that EX cross as an option. I mean, EX cross is an amazing option, so I don't actually blame him for that. Opts to spend the pulverizing blast jutsu instead to advance 3. Yeah, that's the reliability that we're talking about with Bang Style Shuriken, right? Just such a good card. Just insane card. Right, the standard play, quote unquote standard play, is like boosting this to gain advantage and get this, which is kind of the hardest card to get into Gauge probably. But yeah, you can avoid, you can dash around, you can do whatever with this card, man. It's sick. We saw Calavontis parry last time for a little bit of like an action compression as well. Just what a good card, man. What a good card. Anyway, we now find ourselves at range 1. Hand is known. Migo knows that the hand has EX Cross and EX Stoppable Palm Thrust. Notably, Bang Style Shuriken does replace itself. Yeah, he drew. And that's why that 5th card is unknown. Why does this card replace? It's like a 4 special with like, except it's not a 4 special so much as it's like another way to like cycle through the deck faster, even if you think about it like that, because you spend 1 card to draw 1 on top of the strike that's happening. Okay, so Bang drops the Infinite Chaos Void Fist for the second card on his Bang Prepare. We take a look at this card real quick. Not really. If you're playing this Ultra, I think things have gone wrong as Bang personally. As Migo boosting Chain Revolver, draw 3, then strike. Discards an Assault for it. It looks like the grasp into the sweep. A little bit unfortunate there. Just a little unfortunate. Sweep as a range 1 response, really great, but this grasp does beat something like an EX Cross on defense, which is maybe what Migo was expecting to beat, which we know is in hand as well. Also beats like EX Unstoppable Palm Thrust because it pushes away. But no, Calavontis is opting for the option that he drew. One of the 3 unknown cards in his hand. Looks like Calavontis is now lining up for an EX Unstoppable Palm Thrust and then shuffling his hand afterward. Oh no, maybe he's just like, I don't. It looked like this is the EX and this is the EX. I mean, we can make theories of how people are sorting their hands in game because we're not in a tournament match. We're just kind of watching, right? But yeah, don't do this unless you like really know what's going on, right? We're like predicting this is like EX Cross and this one's like it's a mess. Don't do that. Anyway, at least Bang gets put into the corner, although Noel added a little bit of a life disadvantage, and a pretty large hand disadvantage. But Bang in the corner means that something like EX Cross doesn't automatically win. EX Unstoppable Palm Thrust is looking pretty good. That's going to be like a 7 power Unstoppable Palm Thrust. That looks pretty spicy. I don't know if Bang wants to pull the trigger on that. Looks like he will pull the trigger. That'll be a 6 speed, 7 power Unstoppable Palm Thrust. Unstoppable indeed. Loses to focus. And not much else. Okay, interesting. So there was the mix-up there, of course. EX Cross was an option at speed 7. Probably played because, in theory, Spring Raid can trade into Unstoppable Palm Thrust as an uppercut. Bang opts for the EX Cross instead. Maybe Bang is saving up the EX Unstoppable Palm Thrust for the 4th gauge, so that way he can gain advantage and then exceed right away. Maybe that's the plan that he's going for. Not really 100% sure. Or maybe just opting to go for the mix-up there. EX Cross, it's a fine option. It is kind of a mix-up there, but EX Cross at 6 power, 7 speed is still also fine, right? Noel boosting Grasp in response. Noel does have some tricky mid speeds like Muzzle Flare. Now here comes the EX Unstoppable Palm Thrust. Surely he hasn't drawn two of another card, right? If he has, that's just, you just gotta tip your hat, right? But yeah, I mean, we knew this Unstoppable Palm Thrust was coming, so I wonder what the plan was for boosting Fierce. I assume it'd be something like a Focus in hand. Oh, Spring Raid. Yeah, Spring Raid trades into it. Spring Raid will do 4 after armor, and that Unstoppable Palm Thrust will do 5 in response. Bang will get advantage. Bang does get to stun Noel, deciding whether he wants to use his after to close 2, depending on what Bang is looking for. I wonder if he's actually not going to exceed now. And is waiting for value. Yeah, looks like he's waiting for value. So now with the Bang prep, he can actually discard. He can actually discard things, right? It's like if he draws like the second copy of Sweep or the second copy of Bankstyle Shuriken, he can actually discard those and then exceed to bring them back to his hand. Like just immense value when you do that. So not surprised to see Calavontis not exceed there, and instead opt for the Bang prep to get more cards into the discard. Unfortunately, he didn't get it. Looks like he drops a Void Tempest Kick instead. Migo preps in response. Bang opting for the Bang prep again. Let's see if he gets it this time. No, gets a copy of Dive in there. Maybe either he's not getting it or he's getting other cards in hand that he'd rather have. I mean, we don't know 100% if Calavontis is going for a play like that, right? Migo finds himself at a little bit of a life deficit though, and a resource deficit as well. 15 to 23. Noel, we know, is a character that, look at these numbers, they're pretty small. They're small numbers, all pretty much across the board here. So we'll need to chain some combats together to get himself back into the game. Not a ton of advantage either. We have advantage on boosts. So like, you know, the advantage is coming. Something like Assault Through does have advantage. Okay, Bang boosting Spike in response. I would have thought this would be a third Bang prep coming out, but it looks like that's not the case. He wants a little bit extra defense against these Noel options that we know are fast. Maybe he just wants to get rid of the Spike from hand as well. Who's to say? Back to Migo. He was briefly checking the discards. I don't know if reading's in the cards here. Depends on if there are 2 copies of a normal left that Migo wants to read. I don't think you read only 1 copy. This is only 40% chance to hit it. No, it looks like Migo opts to strike into the Spike boost here. Okay. There are mid speeds here in play. Something like Muzzle Flitter or Type 1, both speed 5, would beat slows that Bang throws out in response. What if Bang plays an what if Bang plays... No, Bang plays Dive. Beats the Sweep. Good read. Okay. So, yeah. I mean, there was a mix-up there, right? There's a little bit of a triangle of the fast mid-speed slow. It said Noel opts for the slow, and Bang opts for the mid-speed. Rage 1 Dive. Every time I see it, it's great, because not enough people do it, in my opinion. Especially some of you newer players out there. Play that Rage 1 Dive. It beats the slows cleanly, like that sweep that Migo threw out. Anyway, Bang opts to Bang prepped in response, drops the focus. So either not drawing the appropriate cards or not going for the play that we saw of putting more cards in the discard. Parry coming out from Bang. Unsuccessful, so a lot of hand information coming out here. We have X Type 1 copy of each Ultra, Assault Through, Muzzle Flitter, and Spike. So those mid speeds were an option for Migo. Unfortunately, just read the situation incorrectly. Maybe thought the mid speeds were a little bit too obvious there, but Calavontis 1 step ahead with that range 1 dive. Of course, the mid speeds lose to something like Grasp, which is what Migo was expecting with the sweep. Grasp, or I guess Cross, is no longer in play. I guess it's just Grasp. If we look at Bank's kit, not a lot of fast options here outside of the Bankstyle Shuriken. EX Cross, we know, is in the bin already. Yeah, just a little bit of an unfortunate read there. Sweep is one of the few cards that deals more than like 4 damage for Noel, because it deals 6 damage for everyone, regardless of who you are. The range 3 spike boost. We saw that hand. I like almost immediately forgot it. Luckily, Calavontis has written it here. We have a spike, which was the only normal. We have muzzle. We have assault through. We have X type 1, and we have 1 copy of each draw. Looks like Bang is opting to exceed here. When he sees he strikes, we know what the card does. We're not going to zoom in again to look underneath them. You know, we're not gonna do that. Bang opts to strike into this though, with only 1 card. So we can actually take a look at what he has left. Maybe drew like a Bankstyle Shuriken, the second copy. That like seems like an option. Like maybe he plays Bankstyle Shuriken into no. I was gonna say maybe he plays like Bankstyle Shuriken to like play a boost to like return one of these cards to hand, but you actually can't boost any of these. Bankstyle Shuriken, I mean, it's a 6-speeder, right? So it's still like obviously good, especially because the hand is known and there's like not much that beats Bankstyle Shuriken. I wonder if Bankstyle Shuriken is like a fine option because it gets returned. No, it's just the focus. It's the optic barrel, which beats on the wild swing, which will not beat the focus, but focus won't get to hit back. Okay, like I guess Calavontis expecting Noelle to come in. I mean, we saw the hand, right? She had like EX type 1 in response, which was a 6-speeder. I don't think that was coming out to beat Void Tempest or to beat Bankstyle Shuriken though. But yeah, looks like Calavontis was expecting Migo to play EX type 1, perhaps. EX type 1 6-speed at range 3. But would lose to Bankstyle Shuriken plus like grass boost or something, right? But no. Migo gets the wild swing, gets the read there. Calavontis was not stoned, so he at least gets to draw a card. And the overdrive will begin. Calavontis does have huge health lead. Of these cards, only the Cross and the Unstoppable Palm Thrust are in discard. Sweep and Bankstyle Shuriken are not. That said, getting EX Cross and EX Unstoppable Palm Thrust are great. Not so great at range 3 though. We'll have to find a way to make himself come forward. You just opts to return something like Sweep to hand. No, you can't really return Sweep to hand and play it. Noelle has too many mid-speeds to deal with that, and we saw some of those mid-speeds, right? I guess she doesn't have Spike anymore, and at range 3 it is kind of a weird, a little bit of a blind spot there for her mid-speeds work at range 2. We can take a look at Muzzle Flitter, close 1 to ignore guard, and type 1, which needs to be at range 2 so you can cross the opponent. Yeah, a little bit of a tough spot here. Bang looking pretty scary. Not as scary as he could have been, but looking pretty scary nonetheless. Calavontis only has 4 cards left in deck, interestingly enough. So I wonder if instead of the plan that we said, maybe he's building these EXs in hand. Let's say Migo opting for a step in and strike. So we can take a look at this boost. Close 1 and strike. Again, a lot of his hand is known as far as mid speeds are concerned. Yeah, Migo spending for the +1 speed. Only 1 card here, so a little bit of a mix-up, in theory. +1 speed means something like Muzzle Flitter is now a speed 6 ignore guard. Other options, type 1 is also a 6 speed that ignores attacks, although the placement on that would put Noelle into the corner a little bit. It's a little bit unfortunate placement, plus maybe you want to maintain the EX type 1 for defense. Spike being played, I don't think Spike was the play. Spike loses to Muzzle Flitter. You don't need to spend force to ignore guard because spike can't hit back, and you don't really care about what's the word I'm looking for? You don't really care about the guard because breaking Bang's guard does nothing for Noelle, so you don't even need to spend there. Yeah, opted for that muzzle flicker. We saw that coming, but just because we saw it coming doesn't mean it wasn't a fine play. Calavontis is probably opting to expend from hand, so that way he doesn't get red, or he doesn't like deck out and have to reshuffle too early. And Bang gets cards back on the exceed anyway, right? Return all copies of the discarded card from your discard to your hand. So yeah, health total's pretty close. Bang looks like he's collecting these EXs in hand as opposed to collecting them in the discard, which is fine, I guess. Maybe he just didn't get the right opportunities to put them in the discard when he Bang prepped multiple times. Also an option as to why that happened. Unstoppable Palm Thrust coming back for Bang. You take a look at list cards. This would be a 1/2, 6 power, 6 speeder with 1 armor and 5 guard, the EX version. Puts it in the hand, shuffles the hand, pro move. Boosting beat a nail with your hammer, +1 speed, now advance 2 and then strike. So Bang will advance to here and push Noelle back to here. Looks like Calavontis is trying to prepare an endgame here. Bang does have the opportunity to like prepare endgames like this. It looks like he was just doing a little bit of the math here. So this will be a 6 speed unstoppable palm thrust, 7 speed even. And this obviously needed to beat 7 speeders that Noelle can throw on defense. Anyway, it's not that. I don't think there's any way it's not that. Noelle stops to block, and yeah, there's the unstoppable palm thrust. Looks like we're going to see a bank style shuriken this turn. Reminder that this boost does come to hand. Where is it? On exceed side. This boost. Oh, okay, never mind. It's not there. That +1 speed, now advance to beat a nail with your hammer does come back to hand. Notably, on exceed side, Bang. So that is in hand. Migo actually not noting that. Don't think it matters too much, but important to note that that is not an option. So hopefully he knows that mentally, that boost is back in hand. We assume that this would be the turn where Bankstyle Shuriken comes back, but it looks like it's not. It looks like this is going to be an EX cross at speed 7. It's going to no, boosts larger than life, +1 power gain advantage. Okay. Calavontis is assembling an endgame here, slowly, but it is slow. It is a little slow. But I think it's fine. This is definitely an advantage Calavontis here. Like, don't get it twisted. Especially, I don't remember if there are focuses left for Migo. Even if there are focuses left for Migo, it'd be quite expensive in terms of hand. Like, he'd be down to 2 cards in hand unless he like reads and wild swings, which I don't think is in the cards. You could this is looking tough. I don't really know. I think it's much. I won't say that this is like super advantage Bang, but I will say, at least for me, it looks much more difficult to assemble an endgame as Noelle in this board state than it is for Bang. In theory, that could just be because I am more used to seeing Bang endgames than Noelle endgames, and they're more obvious to me as a spectator. But yeah, I don't really know how Noelle assembles an endgame from here. Noelle's not even at a point where she can assemble an endgame at 17 HP, probably, with only 4 cards in hand. If she had more cards in hand, maybe she could advantage chain with her boosts and do things like that, but no, not at this high health total from Bang. We know 2 of these cards are EX type 1, by the way, just to clarify. And we know one of these is the beat a nail with your hammer. Is that what the boost is called? Actually, don't remember. It's the +1 speed, now advance to strike, and return to hand if you're exceeded. Is now one thing to look out for is Calavontis going to be able to exceed again before he reshuffles. He can probably exceed one more. In theory, he can exceed one more time because of this boost, right? So that's another reason why you want to. This advantage is so super important. Is we can in theory see Bang exceed a second time. That's one thing I actually neglected earlier, but I believe it's possible because he will be building 3 gauge and then do something like assault or something, whatever. Get that 4th gauge in, and then he can exceed. Still have 3 cards left in deck, and back-to-back Bang exceeds is rough, especially now that there's a lot more stuff in the discard. That's going to be a big change cards here for Amigo. That's going to be a change cards 4, draw 5. Clearly didn't have the answer left in deck. That's EX Bulletstorm. It's not looking so good against the Bang Style Shuriken, right? Doesn't perform great against it. It's a little bit too slow, especially when you have the +1 speed from Bang if he's choosing to use it. Sweep coming back to hand. I believe the second one is stuck in, is not, is left in. Okay, interesting. So it looked like Calavontis thought that he had it, which means that the sweep is left in deck. So he looked at Calavontis thinking that he had sweep left in his discard, which he doesn't. So this is either like a bait that he has sweep in hand, or sweep is in here. Yeah, here comes the Be a Nail with your hammer again. So this is going to be a +1 speed, now advance 2, and then strike. Hopefully Migo thought of this. EX Cross is the option here. Don't think any other EXs are left. EX Sweep would be like a funny option here if he had chosen to return that sweep to hand and then has the EX in hand. EX Bang Style Shuriken, in theory, an option. Sorry, just panning over to Migo's count. Oh, we're going to trust Migo's count here. EX Bang Style Shuriken, in theory, an option. I don't think there are other normals that are options here. So EX Cross is a 5 damage, 7 speed. Don't think Noel can beat that on defense. Like the only thing that could have beat it is EX Uppercut, but we know both copies of the Uppercut are down. So probably just a Wild Swing or Focus. Yeah, here comes the Focus. It is EX Cross. So it's EX Cross is actually 6 power, excuse me, with gain advantage. Be a Nail with their hammer will come back to hand. Looks like Calavontis is assembling this endgame. Right. So this will be 4 damage after armor. Be a Nail with your hammer comes back to hand. Calavontis has advantage. With advantage, he will flip back. But he can boost that card again. No, actually opts for the +2 speed. Okay. Which I guess it's one turn too late to flip to do the thing that we were talking about earlier. Maybe it's one turn too late. This +1 speed, obviously, or +2 speed. Obviously, the threat here is this boost again, which is face down. The advance 2 and strike into a. So you'd end up here and strike. Is there no way you can get advantage? There's even assault left. I'm assuming the plan is to come to here and then do something to gain advantage. It's probably assault. So you can get that 4th gauge and then flip again. And that's the basic gist of the endgame that Calavontis is assembling. Again, I have no idea what Noel does in response to that. One response to that is actually move back 1. Move back to range 6 is a response, because then Bang can't get advantage, but we'll just be able to do it next turn, so maybe move back 6 isn't the play. We're also looking at this one copy of Pulverizing Blast Jutsu in play, also a threat at range 5 in theory, with the advance 3, 1 to 2, so he'd come here and pop Noel, also a slow. It's a little bit of a pickle here, because the move back 1 doesn't perform super well against Bank Style Shuriken. So if you beat him down with your hammer, it's a Bank Style Shuriken here. At the very least, Calavontis doesn't get advantage off that. There's no way for him to get advantage off it. I don't know if that's worth it. Migo also has a little bit of a difficult time with both blocks in the gauge. So not a whole lot of... Noel's kit has no armor. Like, this is actually pretty big advantage, Bang. Pretty big advantage. Reading. Okay, I mean, reading is a way. This is 75% chance to hit. The only problem is... like, the assault isn't known in hand, right? I mean, we're just assuming that there's an assault left in the discard, right? We're just assuming that that's a thing. We don't 100% know. Oh no, the reading whiffed. Oh no. So pulverizing blast jutsu in response. That's really bad. Oh wait, no, it doesn't even. It can't be pulverizing blast jutsu in response. But this was a 75% chance of reading that whiffed. This could be too fast in theory. It's not. So yeah, Noelle will move first, and pulverizing blast jutsu will pop her afterward. That's so unfortunate. If Migo had played like a spike there, at least he'd be like a little bit saved. But no, that's gotta be game. That's gotta be game. Like, yeah, that's brutal. I don't see a path for Noelle to win this game from here. Yeah, I don't know, man. This is... well, it's Calavontis' turn. He's got to assemble an endgame, which is not trivially easy, because now he can't go for the... Can he... I don't think he can exceed, right? Because he doesn't really have a good... He can exceed in theory, but he doesn't really have a good option to go for here, right? Because we saw his hand. It's not fantastic. Looks like he's opting for the reshuffle. Okay. I mean, yeah, that's one way to... It's a little slow, but it's one way to assemble that endgame. Like, EX Bank Style... Oh, wait, EX Bank Style Shuriken was in hand. EX Bank Style Shuriken would do 3 damage. There's no way for him to gain advantage off it. So... And Bang would be stuck with kind of that hand, which is not fantastic. So yeah, exceeding was not the play. Yeah, it looks like Calavont is opting for the reshuffle. Gets that ultra in hand, probably just gonna be used as a burst next turn if I had to guess. Gonna find an end game a different way. Just have a bunch of resources engage, but an ultra, I'm not really sure. Like, that fatal eruption is... Maybe you could do something like fatal eruption with that boost. The +1 power, +1 speed boost, maybe? But that's kind of slow still, because fatal eruption's only 5. Hey, it'd be 6 speed. It'd be 6 speed. That's a play that can be made. Not anymore, as we see the swift attack coming out from Migo. So that's going to be a +1 speed hit advantage. So we were talking about earlier these advantage chaining boosts that Noelle has. Migo opts to boost one here. Definitely going to need to string some combats together to win. Yeah, here comes the burst that we were talking about earlier. Calavontis gets to draw 2 cards off the top of his deck, and now gets another action. We're looking at that +1 speed boost. Yep, those boosts that we were talking about earlier. For gaining advantage. Wonder what the... I mean, Bang is very likely to win here. Let's not mince words here. I think Bang is very likely to win here. Has he found the line yet? I don't know. A 6-speed fatal eruption looks pretty... Looked pretty good until that type 1 was boosted, but Calavontis thinking about his options. The gears are turning. Usually when Calavontis takes his time, it's because he's assembling that endgame. Okay, uses the Banksal Shuriken as instant ninpo to essentially tech that. Oh, tech it and then +1 power, +1 speed for the Fatal Eruption. Speed 6? Would need... Does Migo have, like, cross? Or EX cross left? I feel like we haven't seen a cross from Migo. Does he have EX cross? Wait, is that EX Fatal Eruption? Okay, well, the cards we know were Banksal Shuriken and Fatal Eruption. He's drawn 2 cards off the top with Burst. So either he's drawn an EX or he's drawn EX Fatal Eruption, which is 7 power, 7 speed. Did he seriously draw EX Fatal Eruption? That would be an unfortunate... I mean, to be fair, Bank was probably going to win this game anyway, but that's kind of an unfortunate way to lose, I think. The EX Fatal Eruption off the top, the second one. Because that's a 7 speed. Migo reveals EX Cross. It is EX Fatal Eruption. That's game. Calavontis takes us at 2-1. Because that's going to be a 7 power EX Fatal Eruption minus 1 armor. Migo shocked that the second Fatal Eruption was drawn. And yeah, Beast pops the 1 armor of the EX Cross, dealing 6 after armor, and that's game. And yeah, that EX Fatal Eruption, unbeatable, basically. Yeah, unbeatable. I mean, we see the last 2 cards left in Migo's deck are Assault Through and Sweep. It's kind of a rough way to go. Anyways, I gotta cut this one a little bit short. Thank you guys so much for watching this. I hope you enjoyed the set. Calavontis takes it 2-1, and we'll see you next time.